Now we are looking for now the selective reabsorption. Okay, selective reabsorption. Now we know that we have undergone the filtration, and after the filtration we have produced the nephric filtrate. Okay, and that nephric filtrate will going to be reabsorbed. Okay, so I will first line the region of cortex and the region of the medulla. Okay, so the region above the blue color, the blue line is basically this region is basically a cortex. Please understand, this region is basically known as a cortex. Okay, and the cortex is having the concentration of 300 milliosmol per liter. Okay, that is basically concentration of solute present in the cortex, and that of very maximum when we moving into the medulla. This particular portion is the medulla. Okay, so I am just line the portion here. This particular portion is the medulla. Okay, that line with the blue color. Keep in mind, I give the name here. Okay, so we don't need to be worry here. This particular portion is medulla, and this is basically a cortex. Okay, so now going to understand that what are basically going to be absorbed from the nephric filtrate. So here I have some special type of cell here. Okay, that are known as a brush bordered epithelial cell. These cells are known as brush bordered epithelial cell. Actually PCT is here made up of brush bordered epithelial cell. Now these cells are rich in mitochondria. Why they are rich in mitochondria? Because they are undergoing too much amount of reabsorption. Okay, so what are the things which will going to be reabsorbed actively and passively in case of a PCT? Now we are just considering the PCT. What are the kind of things absorbed here? So when I will talk about active reabsorption, that here in this case near about 70 to 75% of sodium and near about 70 to 75% of potassium get reabsorbed actively, meaning with the help of ATP. 70 to 75% of sodium and 70 to 75% of potassium, approximately you can say value of 70 is basically reabsorbed. Okay, then later on the chloride is also get absorbed in the PCT. Okay, by the process of simple diffusion. So by the diffusion chloride get reabsorbed. Water also get reabsorbed in a small amount here by the process of osmosis. I hope you know the movement of osmosis is basically a movement of water from high concentration gradient to the low concentration gradient, and of course urea is also get absorbed here in this region by diffusion. But why we are absorbing the urea? The very important question we came into thinking that why we are absorbing urea, because if we want to keep the look the medulla is basically having its concentration here is basically 600 milliosmol per liter. Then we will moving down 800 milliosmol per liter. When we will moving down, we will get to the 1200 milliosmol per liter, meaning when we are moving down the concentration of solute get increase. So what actually happens here? When we are keeping solute concentration high in medulla, the medulla become hypertonic. Okay, that you can see here the concentration is 300 in cortex, but in medulla we have 600, 800, then 1200 maximum. Okay, so the medulla is hypertonic and cortex is hypertonic. Okay, so whatever the nephric filtrate is basically coming here is basically in a dilute condition. So whatever the water is there is in a maximum quantity as compared to interstitial fluid. Okay, that's why the water get absorbed here. Okay, water absorb here. Then we have the absorption of the sodium, we have the absorption of chloride, but whatever the things are get absorbed are basically having different way. Okay, now so Once after absorption, let's consider the absorption takes place. Some amount of water get absorbed, you can see by diffusion. Some amount of chloride get absorbed by diffusion. Most of the sodium and potassium get absorbed here. Okay, now why we are absorbing sodium and potassium? Sodium and potassium, sodium are basically maintain our blood pressure. Okay, and if the sodium is there, of course we have water is there in our blood. Then potassium is basically also important in keeping the gradient. Okay, we need a gradient in our cell and outside the cell. For that purpose we require the sodium and potassium. That's why these are get actively absorbed. Then chloride is also necessary in case of blood. Okay, in our blood we have 0.9% NaCl. What? 0.9% NaCl, and this 0.9% NaCl known as a saline solution. And if we want that chloride in the blood, we have to absorb the chloride. Water, of course, very essential, but in a small amount absorption takes place here. Now once absorption, in case of a PCT, all the nephric filtrate is basically came into the descending limb of loop of Henle. Okay, so what are the nephric filtrate is moving here? Now it is coming here. Okay, now this area which is made up of squamous epithelial cell, it is made up of squamous epithelial cell, is highly permeable for water. So the water was actually present here in the loop of Henle, it is get absorbed. Okay, so there is a question came in the mind that if we are absorbing many things, where these things are basically going. Okay, so just surrounding the loop of Henle we have a vasa recta. Some things are basically moving in the vasa recta. Let's consider the blood, the chloride, the sodium. Some amount of sodium chloride is moving in the vasa recta, and rest of get absorbed in the interstitial fluid here in the medulla. Then now we can consider that we have actually absorbed much more amount of water when we are moving down through the descending limb of loop of Henle. Okay, so when we are actually moving down, we have absorbed much more amount of water. So let's consider that we have absorbed water here. Okay, now after absorption of water, the solution, the nephric filtrate become now how it will going to be hypertonic. Now how it will going to be hypertonic. So the nephric filtrate is now going to be hypertonic, and such a hypertonic filtrate is moving through the ascending limb of loop of Henle. So you can see here that this area is basically having less amount of water and more amount of solute. So it is basically filled with sodium chloride, sodium chloride, sodium chloride. Too much amount of sodium chloride is here. Now, so what we have seen that descending limb of loop of Henle was permeable for water. So all the water is basically moving in the loop of Henle and in the vasa recta, and of course insert some amount of water in the interstitium. Well, now when the nephric filtrate is moving in upward direction, it is highly concentrated. Okay, so once it is moving in the upward direction, there is absorption of what are the things get absorbed here. Let's consider from the ascending loop of Henle, we are absorbing the first very important component is NaCl is get absorbed in maximum quantity from the ascending limb of loop of Henle. Okay, then the bicarbonate is also going to get absorbed. Now why we are absorbing the bicarbonate? Because in our blood bicarbonate is present as a buffer. Okay, we have a bicarbonate buffer in a blood that maintains the pH of blood 7.3. That's why we are absorbing the bicarbonate here in the ascending limb of loop of Henle. Now some amount of potassium is also get absorbed here. Potassium absorption takes place here, salt absorption takes place here. Okay, and then bicarbonate is also get absorbed. Now all the things which are getting absorbed here are moving in the interstitial fluid, and some amount of it is basically moving in the vasa recta. Now will comes to the after the ascending limb of loop of Henle. Now we know that all the salt, mini solute, potassium, bicarbonate absorb here in this ascending limb of loop of Henle. So once the filtrate move here in the DCT, the plasma get here isotonic. The plasma become isotonic. Now this area is basically specially designed for the absorption of a bicarbonate. So from here we absorb bicarbonate, okay. From here we absorb sodium, from here we absorb chloride ion, okay. So these are the things which are basically absorbed here in this DCT, okay. So now you can understand what are the things absorbed here. Now when we come to the collecting tubule, okay, this is basically the collecting tubule. In the collecting tubule we are mainly absorbing water, okay, we are mainly absorbing water. How much water is basically maximum 90% of water get absorbed here, okay. So meaning maximum amount of water is basically absorbed in the collecting tubule, but this is with the help of, this water is basically absorbed with the help of aquaporins. We have certain special pores, okay, through which the water is moving towards the interstitial fluid, that known as aquaporins, okay. But these aquaporins receptors or the channels are basically open after the stimulation of ADH, okay. Now the ADH is hormone basically releases from where it is releases from posterior pituitary, okay, release from the neurohypophysis, okay. Neurohypophysis is the posterior part of the pituitary gland. So now you can understand what are the things absorbed here. In the PCT we have absorbed sodium, potassium actively with the help of ATP, chloride by diffusion, water by osmosis, urea by diffusion, which basically maintaining the medulla hypertonic. Then squamous epithelial cells of the descending lobe of Henle are basically responsible, or this area is basically highly permeable for the water absorption. Then moving to the ascending limb of lobe, this particular area, ascending limb of Henle, okay, here it is basically the absorption of potassium, bicarbonate which is buffer, and salt, which is basically very important to keep the medulla hypertonic. And in the DCT we have the absorption of a sodium, bicarbonate, chloride, okay. And in the collecting tubule finally there was absorption of water. Now so what are the things we have absorbed in the different area of the nephron, okay. Now some of the substance which are absorbed are known as a high threshold substance, okay. Now what are the high threshold substance? Those substance which absorb completely, meaning that the glucose and amino acid are those substance which absorb completely. Now how much is basically can absorb? Let's consider that we have when all the nephrons are basically collected, then we mix the fluid 100 ml, okay. So if we have 100 ml of nephric filtrate in the nephron, and in that 100 ml of fluid we have 180 milligram of the glucose, then all the glucose which is present in the nephric filtrate is get absorbed, and that renal threshold limit is basically given here. How much? 180 milligram per dl of nephric filtrate. Now so these substances are basically completely absorbed, glucose and amino acid, from the nephric filtrate. Now comes to the low threshold substances which absorb in a very small quantity. Rather these substances are not required by the body, okay. Well, the urea is basically, we know that the urea is basically the substance which is nothing but the metabolic waste that need to be coming outside of the body, okay. So this is basically absorbed in a small quantity. But why we are absorbing the metabolic waste, that is also a question. Urea is basically, look, we can store some little amount of urea in our body, and of course urea is basically help to keep the medulla hypertonic, right. And then we also having certain substances known as a non-threshold substances which not absorb at all, which will not going to absorb at all, okay. So these substances are known as non-threshold substances, okay. And the substances came here is the hippuric acid, which don't be required, creatinine, which is basically the toxic waste or the waste, metabolic waste releases from the muscle while working, okay. So I will end here. Selective reabsorption, okay. The questions regarding this you can message me on my number, right.